situations. They need to see Cameron Dukes in those situations should he have to play later this year. As for Zach Collaros, there you see him looking to bounce back, coming off a bye week, coming off the loss to Hamilton, approaching 3,500 yards through the air on the season. They are a big play team, and he'll look to make some of those big plays tonight.
Yeah, that loss to Hamilton for Mike O'Shea's second loss in 3 games, but utter dominance here in Winnipeg in their last 3 games, especially where the margin of victory has been 37 points. Ryan Dinwiddie's Argos coming in at 12-1. Bombers won the toss. They want the ball on the reverse. Jamal Parker to Evan Holm right away. Bag of tricks across the 40. Holmes has room. Evan Holm taking it up across midfield as right away they run a reverse on the return, and they're in good shape for their first possession here.
Yeah, and watch on the outside. Robbie Smith, number 40, kind of gets drawn in to following Jamal Parker. He's caught on the inside as it goes back to Evan Holm. You heard Davis Sanchez in the pregame talk about the speed of Evan Holm. The Bombers try to take advantage of that on special teams. If not for a slip, he might have had about 30 more yards on that return.
He did. They end up marking it back at the 41 in that return by Evan Holmes. So Zach Collaros and that Bomber offense, explosive, especially here at home. Little fake off to Nick Dembski. What a great game in a losing cause against the Hamilton Tiger Cats 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and let's go back to Zach Collaros. You see his numbers on the season, but more importantly, that number you saw in the opening, Zach Collaros 7-0 as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber in his next start after having lost his previous start. Great at the bounce back.
And the latest example of that was the Banjo Bowl beatdown of Saskatchewan after they lost to the Riders just days before. On Labor Day, 2nd and 3 after that gain by Dembski at over 130 yards receiving in Hamilton a couple of weeks ago. Brady Oliveira on that 2nd and short. The leading rusher in the Canadian Football League has a first down up near midfield for Winnipeg.
And taking a look at this Bomber offensive line, the key, of course, their left tackle, Stanley Bryant, one of the greats in Canadian Football League history. The receiving core, keep an eye on Rashid Bailey, sometimes overshadowed in that receiving core, capable of the big play himself, and a big part of the Bombers' receiver run game as well, averaging over 7 yards a pop.
1st and 10, Winnipeg 54. Back to Oliveira, and that puts him over 1,200 yards rushing as he keeps adding to his totals so far this season.
And defensively for the Argos, with Sean Oakman out, they get Jared Brinkman back off that injured list. Big addition. He was off to a great start this season. Jonathan Jones, listed as a backup most weeks. He's in for Winton McManus this week. This guy is 5th on the team in tackles. Very productive player in limited opportunity. Keep an eye on Jamie Harry, University of Ottawa product, on the field corner. Jamal Peters is out. Quantez Stiggers shifts over to the boundary side.
And Dakota Prukop comes in to pick up the first down again in short yardage there for Winnipeg. That's inside the Toronto 45. And back comes Zach Collaros. These two teams have not met since the biggest game of all in 2022, Mosaic Stadium in Regina, in that Grey Cup game decided by a mere point. And a blocked field goal try by the Bombers, again blocked by that man, Robbie Smith, who had just a roller coaster of emotions in the final minutes of that game. 1st and 10, Toronto 44. Dembski again. And Tavares McFadden's trying to bring him down. He needs some help too as Dembski just kept going. And it looks like he's near another Winnipeg first down.
Well, the slot back, Nick Dembski. This is a guy who's built more like a running back. Started his college career, in fact, at that position in the backfield. You see him go into contact here, lowers the shoulders, keeps the legs churning. Fighting through a crowd of Toronto Argonauts to pick up that first down.
Winnipeg's last time at home, they had 6 first-half possessions. They scored touchdowns on all 6. Possession 1 against the Argos here, and a 1st and 10 from the Toronto 33. With the blitz coming, they hand off to Oliveira, who gets tied up by Robbie Smith. But still, more yardage for Oliveira, the CFL's leading rusher.
Well, Brady Oliveira leading the way in this generation of Canadian running backs, as you see a couple of the guys who preceded him John Cornish, of course, and Andrew Harris. Harris in the house tonight, by the way, though not dressed for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, that's another pretty giant subplot too, had he been able to come and play against his old team here in Winnipeg. Movement on the line, Collaros gets rid of it. Open receiver and a first down. First catch of this game for Dalton Schoen, the second leading receiver in the Canadian Football League behind Austin Mack in yardage.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at the work of Dalton Schoen out of the slot. Just a quick out, accelerating out of that break. Nice timing, as usual, between he and quarterback Zach Collaros.
Gets it down at the 9. We have a 1st and goal coming up here for Winnipeg. Trying to keep that streak alive in the first half of a game here in Winnipeg. Just made something up here. 6 for 6 in the first half, as mentioned, their last game. And trying to go 1 for 1 here against the Argos to find the end zone. Collaros down to the 5 for Schoen. She's taken down. Quantez Stiggers has him just shy of the 5-yard line. So a 2nd and goal coming up. Play made by the Argo rookie in the secondary.
And I mentioned Stiggers, who started most of the season at the field corner. He shifts over with Jamal Peters banged up. Peters left last game Saturday against Hamilton with injury. Winton McManus, Sean Oakman nicked up a little bit in that game as well. Those guys both came back into the game. Peters did not. So 3 starters get what we'll call maintenance days on the Argo D.
2nd and goal with time. Collaros dumps it off. Oliveira. Touchdown Winnipeg. Just like that for the Bombers. This offense, something special at home, and they show it again here.
Yeah, you see Oliveira comes into the formation, checks out to that little leak route. Collaros finds him, surrounded by a couple of Argos, but a straight arm keeps a Darius Pickett at bay. Makes his way past the other 2 Argo linebackers for the game's first major.
With the point after try coming up here from Sergio Castillo to make it a 7-0 game. Right down the middle. It took 9 plays. It covered 69 yards in 5 minutes and 24 seconds. Collaros checks it down to Oliveira, who checks into the end zone.
Well, there was no massive play, no big splash, but just an efficient, workman-like opening drive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Brady Oliveira pounding away, variety of receivers getting their hands on the ball in the early minutes of this football game. Dembski a couple touches. We saw Dalton Schoen as well down the sideline. That would set up Brady Oliveira, whose 2nd effort put the game's first points on the board.
And Dante McMahon are back for this kick, and Leak takes it at the 20. Argos down by 7 right away before the offense comes on the field as Leak is pushed out. So Cameron Duke's first CFL start, not his first action. When Chad Kelly got hurt in Calgary in week 9, he came on late in the first half and finished that game.
Yeah, and while that may be the Toronto Argonauts' only loss of the season, the fact is Cameron Dukes obviously is, while not having a ton of playing time, has had a lot of opportunity here in his first Canadian Football League season to do some learning since then. A little more familiar with the league. We look to see what he can do here against one of the league's most fearsome defensive units.
From the 37 and throwing, Dejan Brissett, the catch and the run afterwards for a first down. Brissett coming off his best CFL game in his young career last week against the Ticats.
Yeah, Brissett, his opportunity in production, growing week by week here in his 3rd Canadian Football League season. Looks to be one of the go-to guys for Cameron Dukes here tonight.
Last week he had 6 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. So here we go. Willie Jefferson, a quick jump. Look at the line of scrimmage as the flags come out, and that one is complete. Back to Brissett. See the flag in orange in recognition of National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, with Every Child Matters written on the flags. And mentioning fans.
Buju Gakina Awia. We have offside. Winnipeg number 9. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay first down.
That first penalty announcement by the referee Ben Major in Ojibwe. And it goes against the Bombers, as we saw with the early movement at the line. So it's a 1st and 5 coming up now for the Argos. Across midfield, down by 7. Handing off A.J. Ouellette, who gets a big run through and is finally knocked down by Demario Houston to save a touchdown, as Ouellette, who got the week off against Hamilton last week, well rested, and it showed there on that run.
Yeah, A.J. Ouellette with fresh legs, but watch for Dejon Brissett coming across the formation. Even though he comes late and behind Ouellette, the fact is that's going to cause the defensive end, the contained players, to hold their position on the outside a little bit, keeping those inside gaps open for A.J. Ouellette to go to work.
He had a couple of touchdowns in the Grey Cup against the Bombers last November. Big first down in the Winnipeg zone to the Bomber 27. Empty backfield and throwing and completing to McMahon. Dante McMahon, in just his 3rd CFL game, gets it inside the 25. Have a closer look at the Argos starting offense.
Yeah, for this group, once again, we see Trevon Tate making his 2nd consecutive start at left tackle for Isaiah Cage. Argos showing some of their depth at that position. And I mentioned Dejon Brissett having his best game of the season, 98 yards last week, off to a quick start here tonight, the former number 2 overall pick in CFL draft.
McMahon had gained 4. Flags coming out again for the snap of the ball, as Ryan Hunter of the Argos saying it's a bomber, and Jake Thomas saying no, he was drawn. They sort this one out.
Offside, Toronto, number 80. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay 2nd down.
So Jake Thomas was right. Tavares Daniels is called on that offside.
You see Tavares Daniels in motion from the slot towards the bottom of your screen. Just a little early.
Just a bit offside.
You know, and this can be a challenge, whether it's a crowd noise or even just adjusting to a new quarterback's cadence.
Gets awfully loud here with this sellout crowd in Winnipeg, and some pressure's coming. Duke's trying to take off. He dumps it off to Ouellette. Inside the 10, 5, touchdown Toronto. The Argos answer right back, and that man 34 is a big part of it. A.J. Ouellette with his 2nd receiving touchdown and his 9th of the season.
Yeah, you've got Ouellette in the backfield beside Dukes. He's going to pick up his block, chips his way out, and Dukes, whose improv skills are a big part of his tool belt, just stays alive, finds his running back. A.J. Ouellette does the rest.
And throwing that right at the line of scrimmage. Just got rid of it in the nick of time. 6 plays, 73 yards in just over 3 minutes. So we expected Winnipeg to start quickly, and the Argos quickly answer back with their rookie quarterback, Cameron Dukes. First CFL start, first CFL touchdown pass. We get a 7-7 tie.
To pick up the blitzing middle linebacker, Adam Bighill. That's first part of the play. Once he has him taken care of, bumps him to the outside. Nice pickup. He's then going to leak out as Cameron Dukes is on the scramble, keeps his eyes downfield, manages to find Ouellette. Easy catch, short run. We got ourselves a ball game.
7-7 tie, and another reverse, this time to Brian Cole on the kickoff return. On 2 returns tonight, they have done that both times as Cole takes it and gets it out to the 30. A.J. Ouellette, the tying touchdown courtesy Cameron Dukes, first ever CFL TD pass. Football League, there has never been a Canadian duo to reach 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season, and there's a great chance of it happening here in Winnipeg with Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski getting close.
Well, and let's take this a step further. Not just two guys playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, two guys from Winnipeg went to the same high school.
It's an amazing story. And not just playing, starring in this league. Pressure for Collaros, who's taken down. And Jared Brinkman back in the lineup after coming off the 6-game injured list, and in for Sean Oakman and Brandon Barlow with 3 sacks a couple of weeks ago in their victory, clinching against Montreal, and in on that.
And there you see Brinkman working against the right guard. Patrick Neufeld just keeps his motor running. That's sort of been his calling card. This is a guy who's really starting to make an impact as they had a rotation of those 3 defensive tackles, the Americans, Hendricks, Brinkman, and Oakman.
3 receivers to the right. Collaros working that way, and he does complete it. Up to the 45. And that is Drew Wolotarski with his first catch of the night and a first down, Winnipeg.
After giving up the sack, good protection. That time, Wolotarski, always reliable, wide out.
1st and 10 up at the Winnipeg 45 and a 7-7 tie. Late first quarter. Collaros knocked down at the line by big Dwayne Hendricks. Got his hands up and put that down, and we have a 2nd down coming up.
Well, as they say, when in Rome, right? He's in Willie Jefferson territory. He's doing his best Willie impersonation. Hendricks on the twist, finds himself on the outside, goes up and makes a play.
Had a great year on that Argonaut defensive line. Dwayne Hendricks in his 3rd year at a Pitt. 5 sacks as well coming into this night. 2nd and 10 now. Collaros just shuffles it off there to Oliveira, who takes it alertly, and he gets it up across the 50. So that is shy, though, by a couple of yards of a first down, and it looks like the punting unit will be coming on. Yes, Jamison Sheehan, number 18, heading on for the Bombers.
An opportunity for Mike O'Shea and his squad to play the field position game. We'll see if Javon Leake is willing to cooperate. CFL's top punt returner this season, 4 TDs thus far in the return game.
Jamison Sheehan, low end over end. Driving punt that is taken there by Leake, who gets it to the 20, still on his feet. Javon Leake, he's still going, and a good tackle made there by Brian Cole, but that's after a great return by one of the top returners in the Canadian Football League, Andrew Harris. From Winnipeg, starred in Winnipeg, his first trip back. Unfortunately can't play.
We practiced it all week for the crowd noise, but yeah, I mean, again, this organization gave me so much, and you know, I'm bittersweet being home for sure, but obviously looking here to get a dub for the Argos, but yeah, a lot of great memories, and you know, just so thankful for my opportunity to play here.
Bittersweet, but how tough was it to not be able to suit up for this game in your last visit to Winnipeg as a player?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough for sure, and I think the biggest thing is you know, just getting healthy for playoffs and making sure I can help make impact plays once I'm called upon. There you go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh shoot. But yeah, I mean, just exciting to be here. But I mean, we got bigger games to play, so I'm just getting ready for that.
Andrew, we'd like to go a little bit further, but your team is very close to a score. We're going to cut it off for now, but thanks for joining us.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Thanks to DeMonte Coxie. They're now in Andrew Harris territory, aren't they?
They absolutely are. DeMonte Coxie with just a fantastic run. Couple of moves to escape initially. The high step there. Drops the shoulder there. Big play guy, among the league leaders in yards per catch. Usually it's catching the ball downfield. That time he did all the heavy lifting himself.
And Toronto's knocking at the door again from the 5. Dukes fakes and scores the touchdown himself. Cameron Dukes putting on a show early on in this game. And the Argonauts, lo and behold, now have the lead here in Winnipeg.
Well, Cameron Dukes showing a little swag himself here. Show pass, draw the D-line upfield. Tuck it on the draw, in he goes. Back-to-back majors for the Toronto Argonauts offense.
Andrew Harris, some props there for Dukes in his first CFL start, and has looked sharp against this Winnipeg defense the last 2 possessions, especially now. And yeah, what's going on for a Bombers side that is used to dominating, especially in recent games, and now they're behind by 7, and back-to-back touchdown drives by Dukes.
Wilson College, I know now.
Talking about Lindsey Wilson, his college.
And you'll see Jackson Jeffcoat, the first man upfield. He thinks he's got a free shot at the Argo quarterback. Little pump fake there by Dukes, gets him in the air. It's like the pump fake and drive in basketball. Pull it up, show pass, get him in the air, away he goes. In for the score.
Chad Kelly watching this one from the sidelines, and his understudy over to the right as they look things over, and what's gone pretty well so far for Dukes and the Argos, and leading this one by a touchdown. So on the Toronto kickoff, now the Bombers are in a hole. And this time a straight return from Jamal Parker after a couple of reverses before, taken down there by the rookie Daniel Kwamu on special teams. You heard the shout out to Lindsey Wilson. That's a private college, plays in the NAIA, and that's located in Columbia, Kentucky. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about Lindsey Wilson.
Yeah, but a very strong program at the NAIA level. And we asked Cameron Dukes about their most favorite or most successful football alumni prior to him, and he started rattling off. He said they had a lot of great quarterbacks there. He's just following the lineage.
It's Brady Oliveira back in his hands as he gets it up across the 35. And just one other thought about Lindsey Wilson. They did win the NAIA National Championship with Cameron Dukes at quarterback in 2020. And he's a Kentuckian as well, from just south of Louisville. Shepherdsville, Kentucky, to be exact, about a half hour south of Louisville. So now you know. We find out a little bit more about Cameron Dukes. We know a lot about that man, Zach Collaros, and the amazing run he's been on since he set foot in this field as quarterback for the Bombers. 2nd and 2. Complete first down, and more Schoen. Dalton Schoen, yards after the catch, down inside the Argo 40.
So you know all those people who were worried that when Chad Kelly wasn't playing, this was no longer going to be the matchup of the year? I don't think it matters. These two teams are coming out swinging, both making some big plays out of the gate. We got ourselves a little bit of a track meet here in the opening 15 minutes.
Sure do. Down to the 40 where they spotted for Dalton Schoen there. 3 catches now, 58 yards. And Winnipeg's in business now in the Argo zone. Faking the handoff, throwing to the right. That is caught inside the 35, down to about the 33 for Drew Wolodarski. His 2nd catch of this game.
Again, Wolodarski with Jamie Harry right on him. He's coming in from the outside. He's going to work his way in. Just sure-handed, strong catch with the defender coming over his back.
And the last play of an interesting first quarter is coming up here in Winnipeg. On a 2nd and 3 at the Argo 33 for the Bombers. Oliveira, he gets the 3 and a little bit to spare, down actually around the 27, so a first down coming up for the Bombers. For quarter number 2 coming up. They were orange in warm-ups. Orange a prominent color. And on the field, touchdowns both sides. Argos have 2 and a 7-point lead. 14-7. And Winnipeg, well, Dwayne, they looked like you'd expect Winnipeg to look in that first possession, but I don't know if the Argos were expected to stand up this way given the regular stars that they've been resting.
Yeah, absolutely. The Argos still lots to play for them in terms of possibly finishing with league record in terms of victories and so on. And I think that they're driven by those things. Just because they have certain people out of the lineup and so on doesn't mean that those who are playing, and still, yeah, plenty of good players on that Toronto Argonaut roster in any given game. Those guys are playing for keeps. There's no question of that. And Cameron Dukes demonstrated that as well as anyone in the first 15 minutes of this ballgame.
Since it was announced that Dukes would start instead of Kelly, there's been the argument, some argument against it because it's a marquee game. But the flip side of just keeping Kelly healthy, of course, is getting your backup some reps. And Dukes has looked pretty good so far. It's Winnipeg ball, and that's in and out of the hands of Dalton Schoen with Tavares McFadden coming in as they start the second quarter in the Toronto zone, looking to tie this game.
And here you see Claros looking for Schoen just on this quick hitter. He's trying to get inside position on the play, but McFadden coming downhill is able to get that left hand in on the ball before Schoen can secure it.
Claros is 9 for 11 for 109 and a touchdown pass. That one to Brady Oliveira, who took it the rest of the way in. Throwing now, it's complete, wide open as shown. Hit hard by Jonathan Jones, who's playing the weak side linebacker spot in place of the injured Winton McManus.
As I mentioned off the top, Jonathan Jones, well listed as a backup and coming in replacing McManus. This is a guy who's played plenty of defensive snaps over the course of the last couple of years, whether filling in because of injuries or playing as a package player and so on. So even this season comes in 5th on the Toronto Argonauts in tackles. This is a guy who could be a starter on most teams in the league.
So Sergio Castillo will come on now in 3rd and 2 at the Toronto 18. Jamison Sheehan to put this one down just outside the 25 for Castillo. Up and through. 3 on the board. Sergio Castillo, who is 31 for 34 now, one of the most accurate kickers this season in the CFL.
There you see the Argos' regular starting quarterback, Chad Kelly, of course, enjoying a tremendous first season as a starter in the Canadian Football League. Zach Collaros, well, he's the 2-time rating most outstanding player, and these are the guys not expected to lead the way in the race down the stretch. Numbers are pretty tight.
Very tight, and if you look at the quarterback rating right at the bottom, slight edge to Collaros, who is the 2-time MOP coming in back-to-back. He's won it, looking for a three-peat there. More importantly for him, wants to get his team back to the Grey Cup and win it this time after that narrow loss to the Argos. And Kelly was a big part of that late in the game. But right now it is Cameron Dukes handing off to A.J. Ouellette. The big carry earlier and a touchdown as well in the first quarter. But yes, he's won the last 2 MOP awards. And you look at consecutive winners, actually you look, well, it's Flutie at the top consecutively. But you look at the most MOP awards, and Collaros with another joins even more exclusive company.
Yeah, and that's some pretty special company when you talk CFL history. That's league royalty. Russ Jackson and Jackie Parker.
You got Anthony Calvillo in there, and of course Flutie, who just dominated in his time.
On the previous play, we have an illegal low block against Toronto number 44. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll replay first down.
Announced by Ben Major on the fullback Brandon Calver, and the low block pushing the Argos back.
Yeah, watch for Calver coming across the formation and going low. The block here. Willie Jefferson able to pull his right leg out of the way.
Ten-yard penalty, 1st and 20 at the Argo 30. Still leading by 4. That's complete to Coxie. DeMonte Coxie turns around, but he just can't get away from Dietrich Nichols. And back to the original line of scrimmage, just shy for it. So we have a 2nd and long coming up.
As Cameron Dukes completes his 5th consecutive pass. Here's 6-man protection. They get things well picked up. Nice escape move there from Coxie, but look at the way the Bombers rally to the football to keep him from gaining any additional yardage.
So a 2nd and 12 at the 38. Pressure. Dukes gets away. Willie Jefferson. Adam Bighill coming in. And that one just heading over to the Argo bench as he throws that one away. And Toronto will have to punt for the first time in this game.
Well, this one ends up incomplete, but I want to take a look at the work by A.J. Ouellette. He's stepping up, just looking to clean up anything on the blitz. Well, he on the twist, he ends up stepping up to take on the nose tackle, Jake Thomas, at the line of scrimmage. Every offensive lineman appreciates a back like that.
Jamal Parker back for it for Winnipeg. Boris Beatty, who's been handling the punting ever since the injury to John Haggerty. Punt by Beatty inside the 20. Parker gets it up to about 30. Zach Collaros, Bombers back on, down 4 here in Winnipeg. All over and in the ceremonies here in recognition of the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation as we head back to John Lou with some special guests. John?
Well, Rod, we're pleased to be joined by Grand Chief Garrison Settee from Manitoba, Kiwatanoi Mackinac, and Mike Pyle, who is the chair of the Bombers Board of Directors and CEO of Exchange Income Corporation. And gentlemen, first, Grand Chief, I'd just like to ask you what your reaction is to all the festivities to honor National Day of Truth and Reconciliation.
This is absolutely phenomenal to see all our people here to celebrate and commemorate Orange Shirt Day. Is absolutely phenomenal. To bring all of these people from up north is a coordination that is really a massive undertaking, but they make it happen. This is reconciliation in action. Reconciliation is possible. Reconciliation is now.
The people that you mentioned, 1,200 young people from northern communities around our country. Mike, can you just give us an idea of how that came to be to get these kids to this game tonight?
We thought that it was an unbelievable opportunity to bring our customers in. Most of these children have never left their community in northern Manitoba. So to see what's available out here, to celebrate this, and just as importantly, to share with Canada the importance of reconciliation. We sometimes think it's about the government or it's about the other guy. It's about you, it's about me, and it's about making change. And it's so exciting to watch the Bombers beat Toronto through the eyes of 1,200 kids.
Thank you for this, Mike. Thank you, Grand Chief. Enjoy the evening. Back to you, Rod.
Thank you, John. Bombers on the move here just across midfield on that latest carry by Brady Oliveira. But nice to see, especially Dwayne, once again, over 1,000 kids coming in from Indigenous communities in northern Manitoba.
Yeah, for the Blue Bombers and their partners to do everything they have done to create that opportunity and to draw light to this day as they should.
Absolutely. On the fake, Collaros rolls right and he completes it. Wolotarski again, and he stays on his feet and he gets down to the Argo 30. So Winnipeg's offense driving down again. Last time was for a field goal, down by 4, but in scoring position once again with the ball at the 32.
Yeah, watch Collaros this time on the move. Protection slides left. He goes to his right. Wolotarski working across the field with him. Ball is on the money. Wolotarski breaks a tackle for a couple extra yards.
14-10 Toronto. Second quarter, Oliveira breaks free. Thought they had him stopped at the line of scrimmage, and he turns that into another big game. Brady Oliveira down to the Argo 15. First down, Winnipeg.
The legs never stop moving with Brady Oliveira. Watch as he takes his first hit right at the line of scrimmage. Manages to escape. Costigan gets it turned north-south. Another big gain with Bombers running back. And as much as the Argos have scored quickly in this, the Bombers have owned the time of possession, which means the Argo D is on the field a lot.
Could be wearing them out with a lot of Oliveira, and now throwing into the end zone. Not quite. It was close. And that classic pass by Collaros for Rasheed Bailey just beyond his reach. 2nd and 10. Yeah,
Bailey goes all out after this one, but just far enough out of bounds. He'd have had a hard time. Even if he could get to the ball, I think he'd have been hard-pressed to stay in bounds to make a play on that one.
Veteran out of Delaware Valley State, Rasheed Bailey, and a test for the Argo defense now. Winnipeg drove for a touchdown on their first possession. With time into the end zone again. Argos come up with it. Mason Pierce and the interception. It was intended for Bailey, and both went for the ball. A flag is out, though. Is it going against Toronto?
I thought Jared Brinkman moved early at the line of scrimmage.
We have offside. Toronto number 91. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay second down.
Big break for the Bombers there on that, with the interception by Pierce negated because of the offside by Brinkman.
And there you see 91, Jared Brinkman, right in the middle of that Argo defensive line. Watch him go early and isn't able to get himself back before that ball is snapped. I suspect that Collaros recognized that as he took that shot to the end zone.
Brinkman, who's been a great run stopper, especially for the Argos this year, but just coming off the 6th game, his first game back. It's a 2nd and 5 now with the penalty for Winnipeg at the Toronto 11. Pressure coming. Hendricks trying to get to Collaros, and now Costigan does. So some heat from that defensive line of the double blue push Winnipeg further back, and now they'll be going for a field goal.
Well, we got a taste of the kind of chaos that can be created by this Toronto Argonaut defensive line. Keep an eye. There's Hendricks, and you watch for Costigan coming later. He's stacked right on the hash mark. He's stacked over the center. But great inside move by Hendricks from the edge. Situation where the left tackle Bryant is anticipating more of a contain rush.
Costigan gets the sack. He had one last week too against Hamilton, and Castillo goes 2 for 2 in the field goal department as Winnipeg inches closer. The Argos still do lead it now, down to a 3 of their 4 possessions, a touchdown, a couple of field goals. The Argos scored touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. They've had it 3 times, and they have the 1-point lead still, 14-13, as Cameron Dukes is back on, and he is handing off to Deontay McMahon, who has nowhere to go. That's Ricky Walker in the run stop.
And Ricky Walker seeing more time on that Winnipeg defensive line this season, with Casey Sales having moved on to Hamilton in free agency. Walker, the rotation guy last year, moves into more of a full-time role.
Cameron Dukes is 5 for 6 for 101 yards and a touchdown in his first CFL start. 2nd and 10 at the Argo 40. He gets flushed out. He wants to take off. He's on the move. And he turns around and tries to get a little bit more. It's Kyrie Wilson chasing him as he still tries to take a lunge at the first down marker when they'd already blown the whistle.
Dukes in the early going here has demonstrated certainly a willingness to scramble a little bit. You got a taste of the speed of linebacker Kyrie Wilson, who tracked him down from the far side on that one.
Not enough for the first down. So Boris Beatty standing inside the Argo 35. They'll punt it away for a 2nd time. Jamal Parker, the lone one back inside the 10. 15, 20, and no further than about the 23. Parker taken down. Collaros, who's 12 of 15 for 152 yards and a touchdown pass. Winnipeg still trailing, 2nd in the Grey Cup. Final minute, and Winnipeg trails by a point. Robbie Smith with the big sack. Big play defensively, but on the next one, he got the penalty for the face mask. That extended the Bomber drive, and then this. Smith coming in on what would have been the winning field goal by Winnipeg, and instead blocked. What an emotional roller coaster for that man Robbie Smith in his 4th year out of Wilfrid Laurier. Dwayne, we asked him about it. A lot of it, he just kind of draws a blank, I guess, just so caught up in the moment of that game.
Yeah, a bit of a blur. It says he hasn't watched it on the TV copy yet.
Has not watched. He said he's seen some film of it, but no, you're right. He said he had. I was surprised he hadn't watched any of that back on the coverage. And what a spot for redemption too on the block when he had made really some big defensive plays, but did get the flag that extended that drive.
Yeah, what a great story for Robbie Smith. This is a guy who grew up watching the Toronto Argonauts, going to games at BMO Field. He talked to us this week about having watched the 2012 Grey Cup when the Argos won under the leadership of Scott Milanovich.
Handing off on that 2nd and 3 for another first down for Winnipeg. Brady Oliveira. So at least close to it. They had to get up to the 34. And now Dakota Prukop coming on, short yardage quarterback, who had a couple of touchdowns in short yardage in that Grey Cup last November in Saskatchewan. These teams downplaying the significance of the Grey Cup rematch, if you will. You can't help but think it's on some of their minds. Prukop keeping it. He just needed to get it even shy of the 35, and looks like he has. 3:53 and counting here until halftime. Prukop off, and Kalara's back on. Argos leading by 1. These two teams played twice last year, Dwayne, in week 4 in the regular season. On a missed extra point, Winnipeg hung on and won that by 1. And then the Grey Cup, of course, 24-23, the Argos winning by 1. So some might have thought this one won't play as close because of the resting Argos, but wrong so far. The Argos in the lead by that single point late in the half. Deep look, tipped, and Dembski would have been gone. The Argos just prevent another big bomber, big play. As the deflection, Tavares McFadden coming across there to prevent Dembski from getting it.
Yeah, lots of moving parts on this one. First, you're going to see a secondary blitz come from the right side of the screen. That gets picked up by Oliveira. Deep shot down the middle. Tremendous defensive play by Tavares McFadden to get a hand on this one. And as you said, Nick Dembski, the league leader in big play receptions, would have been off to the races again.
So 2nd and 10 at the Winnipeg 35 to the left, complete, first down. Wolotarski, another catch for Drew Wolotarski in this first half with a 3-minute warning coming up. We got a game close to half.
Do we have a QB controversy in Toronto? No? It's exactly what we predicted, right?
We can make one.
Sure. Plenty coming up. Rod?
Okay. Stirring it up already.
Stirring the pot.
Tell you, Cameron Dukes, though, for his first, start, he had a bit of taste of the action, called into duty in Calgary back in week 9, but this is his first start, and those first 2 possessions went really well for touchdowns, and they still do have the lead, hanging on by a point now, but Winnipeg with the ball again, and right around midfield, Nick Dembski with another catch. Ball right up around the 53. First of a doubleheader. Winnipeg's 10-4, tied with the BC Lions, who play later tonight, hosting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So the East may be decided at the top, but anything but at the West, which could be go right down to the wire. And they meet, Winnipeg and the Lions meet next week at BC Place. First down, the 50. Turning it around as well is Rasheed Bailey.
Here you see Bailey lined up. He's the number 2 receiver. He's just going to go hang out on the sideline. Let the other guys push upfield, create a little bit of space for him. Claros on the scramble finds him. Nice job after the catch by Bailey to move those sticks.
Inside the 45, another look at it. Bailey turning it around after the catch, getting that yardage, and right back to him. Rasheed Bailey dancing around and keeps pushing to inside the 40, down to about the 42. Jamie Harry in on the tackle, so Bailey's getting some business here late in the half.
And I mentioned earlier, Rasheed Bailey maybe doesn't get as many touches as some of the other guys in the passing game, and when you've got Dalton Schoen, Nick Dembski, Kenny Lawler in that receiving core, things are a little tight, but he's been very good contributing in the run game. He averages over 7 yards a carry as a runner, and you see that on the last two plays. The ball in his hands, a powerful runner.
There's another powerful runner, Brady Oliveira, rumbling down inside the 25. Yet another Winnipeg first down, looking to take the lead before halftime.
Yeah, watch the work. This Blue Bomber offensive line. Patrick Neufeld coming all the way across. His man comes on the twist. He washes that down. They create a nice lane there for Brady Oliveira to pick up another Blue Bomber first down.
At the Toronto 23. Faking to Oliveira, and Collaros keeps it as he just takes it down to the 15. A rare running play for Collaros, who had Oliveira just ahead of him.
Yeah, and this one, you know, looks like an option type play where he's deciding whether to hand it off to his running back or keep it based on what he sees. I think he realized when Costigan got upfield that he should have handed it off, but it was too late, so he just followed Oliveira through the hole. Good reaction from the veteran quarterback.
Man calling the plays, and a former quarterback himself, Buck Pierce, Winnipeg. Oliveira again. Collision, ball comes out. It's in the hands of Royce Mechie. Late in the half, Mechie with the ball up at the 40, 45, and the whistle finally blows. So just as the Bombers were driving to take the lead, it's Argo football with under a minute to play until halftime.
Royce Mechie from that free safety spot comes up with it. Take a look at the hit that popped the ball loose. McFadden, Pickett in on the tackle. Wonder, is it possible that the right knee was down before that ball came out?
I'm sure they're taking a look at that. Was he down? Whistle didn't blow. Ball's just coming out, it looks like, Dwayne, as the knee's going down.
Close, but bear in mind the call on the field was a fumble. You'd have to have conclusive evidence to overturn that call.
Regardless, a couple of great defensive plays in this half by Tavares. McFadden had the other deflection and what could have been a Nick Dembski touchdown. And Mechie picks up that fumble and has a good return on it up across the Argo 40.
The previous play is under automatic review by the command center because it's a turnover.
Given the score and the situation, very important review here. The Bombers chance to, at the very least, have a field goal try, and thinking if they can get a touchdown too, either way, to have a lead at halftime. So was it a fumble, or do the Bombers hang on to the football? Here's the decision by the command center.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. It's a first down for Toronto.
Fans don't like it. Argos do. Oliveira, fourth time he's fumbled this season. That one is lost, and Toronto gets the ball up at their 44, and a chance, a great chance now of having the lead at halftime here in Winnipeg. Four receivers to the right. Dukes, he steps up, can't find anyone, and he takes off and he slides shy of a first down, but a second and short coming up for the Argos, who are working tempo, and they want to see if they can add to their lead before the half is done.
Yeah, one of the things you want to see from Cameron Dukes at the quarterback position, you want to see him be decisive. Doesn't like what he seems, away he goes.
Second and 2. And he throws it away. Again, could not find a receiver downfield. 30 seconds on the clock and a 3rd and 2 coming up.
And the play looks like nothing and looks unproductive, but in terms of the process and the development of a young quarterback for Cameron Dukes there, recognizing things aren't opening up the way he wants them to, they're working against the clock. He gets that clock stopped and saves time. Doesn't waste a lot of time scrambling around before he does it. It's a heads-up play.
And 3rd and 2, 30 seconds left in the half in their own zone. And flags come out. Don't know if it was the intent all along to draw the Bombers off, but it looks like they've succeeded.
Yeah, I think Kyrie Wilson.
Offside, Winnipeg number 19. It's a 5-yard penalty, makes it a 1st down.
And you'll see at the far end of the line of scrimmage, you sort of see this shot through the tunnel. Wilson got caught leading, couldn't get back. 1st down Argos.
Across midfield, 30 seconds on the clock. The pass is complete down to the 30, and the Argos are in field goal range. Davaris Daniels has the catch. That's his 1st catch of the night on his 2nd target. As they quickly move up.
Nice adjustment to the ball here by Davaris Daniels. Down the numbers, working inside, got Nichols back turned.
They work tempo. Tommy Neal, 1st down and more. As he's taken down inside the 10, a flag comes out with the tackle. And in position to make it a 1st and goal Argos with 14 seconds on the clock.
And Tommy Neal down the stretch for the Toronto Argonauts.
Game, holding Toronto number 86. We'll go back 10 yards from the spot where the ball was held at the time of the penalty. It's going to be 1st down for Toronto.
And Neal really emerging as another threat in that receiving core for Toronto in recent weeks. Master product, a 4th round pick in 2021.
Not sure how many had the Argos leading in the pool at halftime. But here we are, 14 seconds to go. They're up 1 and looking for more. Escaping the pocket, taking off inside the 20. Ball comes up, picked up by Neal, who advances it a few yards even further. So, if you ever heard the tales of the Argo bounce, they certainly got one that time.
Yeah, nearly a very costly rookie mistake in terms of ball security here for Cameron Dukes. That one right into the hands of Neal for yet another Argonaut 1st down.
Setting up a 1st and goal right at the Winnipeg 5 with DeMario Houston, the boundary corner, the injured Bomber still down.
Yeah, once again, nothing opens up on the route. Dukes takes off. He looked like he might have been thinking of shuffling that off.
I was going to say
when he got tackled. If you look at the position of his hands, he kind of looked like he was getting ready to make a little chest pass there.
4 seconds until halftime. As again, DeMario Houston getting the attention from the Bomber medical staff. So all things considered for Cameron Dukes, 7 of 9 for 139 and a touchdown. And to say it again for Ryan Dinwiddie, and he told us that it's not just about resting Chad Kelly. That's a big part of it, obviously, but it's about, you know, with 2 other rookie quarterbacks, getting them some reps, and especially in a place like this.
Please reset the game clock to 7 seconds. 7 seconds on the game clock, please.
Yeah, again, bearing in mind the Toronto Argonauts came into this season with a combined total of 1 career CFL start between the 3 quarterbacks. That was Chad Kelly with one in a, call it, meaningless game at the end of last season. Cameron Dukes and Brian Scott are raw rookies. So, yeah, resting Kelly, but one of the things is, you know, trade deadline approaching, end of the season coming, etc., playoffs. I mean, Chad Kelly could go down on the first game of the East, the first play of the East Final. you need to know if your other quarterbacks can play in that situation. They got to get them time, and they have the opportunity and the luxury because of where they are in the standings.
And if there's someone who understands that, it's Ryan Dinwiddie. Remember 2007?
Amen.
Sorry, Milt Stiegel, but it was Kevin Glenn getting hurt in the East Final against the Argos, and Ryan Dinwiddie, had very little playing time, was thrust into his first CFL start in the Grey Cup against Saskatchewan in 2007. And I asked him about that, and he acknowledged that's part of the thinking too.
Yeah.
Wants them getting reps.
Personal experience both for him as a player and even as an assistant coach in Calgary. They went through similar things about having to find this balance.
Boris Beattie from 19 out, and they do add to the lead. They make it a 4-point game again as the half comes to an end. And let's say at the very least a bit of a surprise with that man Chad Kelly not getting the start, that the Argos are not just competing, they are leading in this one. Still, of course, a lot of talent on the field, but where the Bombers have been absolutely dominant in their last 3 games, especially at home, and close to 100 yards, but he did have the fumble. The Argos drove it down for a field goal to make it 17-13. So Winnipeg kicks off. Toronto with a 4-point lead to start the second half with the ball. Javon Leake with the ball. Has a blocker in front. And he is taken down up across the 45. Evan Holm with the special teams tackle. So back comes Cameron Dukes, first CFL start, 7 for 9 for 139 yards and a touchdown pass.
Yeah, and after the opening 30 minutes of this football game, I suspect that a lot of our viewers spent their halftime Googling Lindsey Wilson college football to learn all they could about Cameron Dukes. Where did this guy come from? Because he looked terrific in the opening 30 minutes of this football game, and maybe continuing the trend of young quarterbacks being the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' kryptonite.
Deontay McMahon has the ball on that first down play. Dietrich Nichols in on the tackle, as was Willie Jefferson. But yes, that small private college in Columbia, Kentucky, of about 2,500 students, an NAIA football program, and he gave him a little shout out when he had the chance in that first half, but acquitting himself fairly nicely here right now, leading a couple of touchdown drives, and they do have that lead. And a 2nd and 8 now up at their 50. Time of possession dominated by Winnipeg in that first half, over 21 minutes to under 9 minutes for the Argos. But on that play, it is caught. It is Dejan Brissett with the ball, but he is shy of a first down around midfield. So a 2 and out for the Argos in their first possession of this second half.
You know, I alluded to it a minute ago, but for those maybe surprised at the success of Dukes against this Blue Bombers team, part of a trend when you look at the games that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have lost this year to opposing starting quarterbacks, Dustin Crum, Jake Dolegala, Taylor Powell, all guys early in their Canadian Football League careers, and certainly in their careers as starters. Maybe not a complete shock that Dukes had the success he did in the first half.
And Beattie punched that one away. Jamal Parker lets it hop, gets in behind him, rolls into the end zone. So we'll go from a 4-point lead to a 5 for the Argos. 18-13 now. Zach Collaros 16 of 20 for 190 yards and a touchdown pass, no picks.
Yeah, just Zach Collaros being Zach Collaros. No real big strikes for the Bombers in that first half, but bear in mind they completely owned the time of possession because Toronto scored fairly quickly, whereas Winnipeg had some longer drives with the football. So essentially they had the Argos defense on the field for about 2/3 of the first half. We'll see if they can make that pay some dividends for them here in the second half of this ballgame.
And with the exception of their first possession open up the game when they got a touchdown, they were settling for field goals after that. So first play, and that is complete, and a short pass, and that's Kenny Lawler. Finally saying his name tonight. A couple of weeks ago, he had a touchdown and some big catches against the Tiger Cats. 2nd and 5.
Yeah, Kenny Lawler can go from quiet to man of the moment very quickly.
He sure can.
So many times.
One big catch. Leads the CFL in yards per catch. 2nd and 5 after that Lawler catch and a 4-man rush. Collaros, and open is Wolodarski. Another catch for Drew Wolodarski and a 1st down. Winnipeg. That's his 5th.
Wolodarski continuing to work effectively underneath. And when you've got deep threats, as mentioned before, like Nick Dembski, Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler in particular, Rasheed Bailey as well. So often those guys driving the defense deep, creating some space underneath, and Wolodarski taking advantage of that.
The 6th-year national at the University of Minnesota. So 1st and 10 at the 53. Deep, right, caught, no. Knocked away Mason Pierce. Lawler had it. And as soon as he touched it, Pierce made the contact and knocked the ball out.
Yeah, perfect timing there by the newcomer Pierce. Made his CFL debut on Labor Day in Hamilton. He's playing that boundary halfback spot in place of the injured Robertson Daniel. But you see him arriving simultaneously with the football to jar that one away from Lawler.
From the Colorado School of Mines in his first CFL season, Mason Pierce. So a 2nd and 10 up near midfield. Collaros had time, flag out. Intended receivers Lawler, who wants a call, and Pierce was in on the coverage there.
There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage. A little surprised not to see one.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Toronto number 28. It's a 10-yard penalty. Makes it a 1st down.
So it moves up to the 47 of the Argos. Pierce flagged for that one on Kenny Lawler. Collaros just got that ball away in time and came up shaking his passing hand. Staying in at the 47, 1st and 10. Deep left and right into coverage with Quantez Stiggers on Lawler. He was there step for step, and another good play in the Argo secondary.
And Collaros putting his faith in his receiver there, and pretty tight coverage. But we go back a couple of plays here. Collaros taking a shot from Jonathan Jones, and keep an eye as he gives that right hand a little shake. Hand or wrist took the worst of that, but looked pretty good on that last ball regardless.
On 2nd down. Steps up. He wanted to dump it off to Oliveira, but Jordan Williams was there covering him. He had no choice but to hang on to the football, and does not pick up sufficient yardage for a 1st down, and the field goal unit will come on.
Here you see just a 4-man rush, things closing in on Collaros as he decides to try and get upfield.
So another Bomber drive stalls, but they did move into scoring zone, albeit a long way away. A 52-yard try coming up here for Sergio Castillo. I mentioned one of the most accurate in the CFL this season. His longest is 53 this season. That one doinks off the upright and falls down for a dead ball. So again, the Bombers in this case have nothing to show for it on this field goal try, and the first miss of the night for Castillo. Right upright, and it stays out. Argo still by 5. Demario Houston hurt. Jamal Parker is now in at field corner at the top of the screen. 1st and 10 from the 30 of the Argos with a 5-point lead. Deontay McMahon and nowhere to go after he meets Winston Rose, who has made the move over to the boundary side.
Yeah, Rose started on the field side. He comes over to replace the injured Demario Houston. You hope that's not too serious an injury for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You know you're missing a player of significance when you're talking about DeMario Houston as a potential most outstanding defensive player in the league, and he plays on the same defense as Adam Big Hill and Willie Jefferson.
It's crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
Leads the league in takeaways and interceptions, and also 3 fumble recoveries too. So second down with time and complete. Cameron Dukes gets it out across the 40 to Tommy Neild, and enough for an Argo first down.
There you have Tommy Neild. 3 Canadians starting on that field side. In the Argos base formation, Neil Brissett and David Ungerer.
Neild's second catch, and also picked up a fumble late in the half. Looked like a toss intended for him. Led to a field goal. McMahon breaks it free outside and picks up a few more yards before Rose gets to him. And still on his feet, up near the 50. A flag had come out before then. Deontay McMahon out of McNeese State, his 3rd CFL game.
Toronto number 59 with a 10-yard penalty. Will replay first down.
Negated that flag against the right tackle, the veteran Dejon Allen.
Keep an eye here on the big right tackle, Dejon Allen. This is the defender. Jefferson tries to redirect. Hand on the collar, giving him a little tug. Returns the flag.
Draw, and Winnipeg's onto it. McMahon trying to break free, but Bombers defense up front having none of that. Picks up just a couple of yards on that first down and 20.
Well, we saw Deontay McMahon for some offensive snaps in the first half of this ball game. Wonder if he might see maybe even the Lions share the catches from, or touches rather, from that running back spot in the second half. A.J. Ouellette having started the game, but obviously the Argos wanting to manage his workload down the stretch.
And they've really managed it. Just 2 touches, 2 big ones, including a touchdown, but that's it for Ouellette. Back to McMahon. They screen it to him, and again, Ricky Walker is there. It's 3rd down and a long way to go for the Argos, who will have to punt it away.
Big stop there for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense, keeping the Argos hemmed up in their own territory. See what Jamal Parker's got left in the tank for the return game now that he's playing every snap on defense.
Mike O'Shea has said it. I mean, Janarian Grant, one of the best in the business, and he's been out since week 5. And the return game just has not been the same for the Bombers, with a few different returners in there. Parker the latest, but we all know how explosive Janarian Grant could be, and haven't heard the timeline on when he may be back. So Parker, and as mentioned, he's in on defense as well now. He gets it at the 25, keeps his feet. Oh, here we go. Jamal Parker. See, we bring up that they need a little more for the return game, and what do you get? A very good return for Jamal Parker. Parker takes it and sets up the Bombers in better shape to take over, still trailing by 5 in the 3rd quarter.
Well, you know, I think Buzz and Woody would have fought early on over which gets to play quarterback.
Brady Oliveira on the carry, and if you notice the spot in the field, we were raving about the return of Jamal Parker earlier before the break, but a flag had come out, and that return was brought back because of holding. So starting further back at their 24, but a good gain by Oliveira on first down.
Brady once again over 100 on the game, continuing his tremendous 2023 season.
7 100-yard rushing games now, Dwayne, this season. He had 4 combined in the previous 2. Far and away the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League coming into this game. Back in his hands. He keeps it going and gets the first down. And, you know, we asked that question, what did you do in your bye week? And Brady Oliveira, well, rescuing animals. And that has been his passion. That's his life calling. Dogs and cats, and heading north, and he did that on the bye week. And we've talked about that many times, and how that interest, passion will exceed his football career by far.
A pretty remarkable young man in terms of his commitment to community service and to that cause in particular.
Dakota Prukop in on the 3rd and short, and Prukop just needed inches, got more than that. The sticks move, first down Winnipeg, but still trailing. Here we are late in the 3rd quarter now as Prukop heads off for Collaros, and a 5-point Argo lead. Corey Mace, defensive coordinator, an Argo defense that continues to impress, and with some pretty important players resting in this game. Got a little banged up last week, and Jamal Peters and Winton McManus, Sean Oakman too. There's Brendan Barlow. Faking to Oliveira, completing it to Lawler, coming across, gets it up to about the 45 before he's pushed out, and that is close to another Winnipeg first down. Big collision with him and the safety Royce Mechie, and it is a first down Winnipeg.
Yeah, they're going to bring Lawler in motion over to that right side, slip him out towards the flat. Mechie coming downhill to make the tackle. Good hard football play between those two.
Tight game. Winnipeg 47. Shown inside the Argo 50. Mason Pierce there to take him down, and another Bomber first down.
Play action. Quick hitter to Winnipeg's leading receiver on the season coming in, Dalton Schoen.
Argo defense bending, not breaking yet. Oliveira. So the thing, all the time of possession, Winnipeg is dominated in that department as we talked about, but getting field goals, or in the last case, not getting the field goal from Castillo, so not having the points to show for all the ball movement they've had in this game.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. We've talked about that time of possession and the potential impact as the game goes on the Toronto Argonauts defense, and I think in particular of some of the guys who maybe haven't played a lot. Jonathan Jones, a backup, he's played a lot of snaps, but Brinkman, for example, on the D-line coming off the injured list, hasn't played in some time. Jamie Harry, making his first start of the season, hasn't played this many snaps in a while.
Drive continues with time, and nearly complete. Nearly able to pull it in, a bit behind him. Nick Dembski, it looked like he'd have a catch down at the 15, not quite. So a 3rd and 4, and the field goal unit will head back on again.
Yeah, and you'll see Dembski work upfield, try to get inside position towards that post. Ball is just a little bit behind him. He tries to adjust, twisting to get the right hand on it, but couldn't pull it into his body.
Castillo is 2 for 3. He missed from 52 last time around. Had one off the upright and didn't fall in. This time, no problem at all. Another field goal for Sergio Castillo. 3 on the board. And down to a 2-point game. 18-16, maybe longer than you think. Let's go back to John Liu.
Well, thank you, Rod. Cameron Dukes was 8 years old when his father, Gary, predicted that one day he would play in the CFL, and that manifesting came from father and son watching CFL games from their Kentucky home near Louisville. And what really struck them was Doug Flutie. When Dukes was 6 years old, he started playing quarterback, and because of his running, his ability to extend plays, his arm strength, his improvisation, he really looked like Doug Flutie, and that's where he got the CFL bug. He stayed on the path of quarterback through his youth, and now Doug Flutie is one of his greatest influences and idols, guys.
Not a bad player to idolize either, John, and he'd get the chance next week, Dwayne, to meet Doug Flutie.
Yeah, the Argos celebrating their 150th season. Many of the greats in their history expected back, including the former 6-time MOP, 2-time Grey Cup champion with the Argonauts in '96 and '97.
We asked him about that. He'd be excited to get the chance to meet Doug Flutie. knowing full well what he did in the CFL as well, and throwing here and completing it. Dejan Brissett with another reception. Brissett with a couple of touchdown catches last week against the Ticats. As Duke's first start, 13 of 15, 181, and a touchdown pass. Another case of a young QB that doesn't look like the moment is too big for him, even here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and this is significant for the Toronto Argonauts, because I know I've been wondering a little bit in recent weeks if there might be the emergency call going out to McLeod Bethel Thompson to come up and be their backup for the stretch run.
Oh, nearly completes another, and it's nearly picked off as well. Intended there for Coxie. You see a late flag coming out. Parker was on him, and it looked for a moment like Coxie might have it until that ball squirted away.
Take a look at Coxie. He's lined up out wide on this one. And I suspect Brandon Alexander maybe coming in a little high at the end of the play.
That's when the flag came out, right with the Alexander contact.
Defensive pass interference, Winnipeg number 7. It's going to be first down Toronto at the spot of foul.
But that's not what they got. They got the interference call, early contact by Jamal Parker. That is the penalty. Thought it might have been the hit that went up high, but the ball, nonetheless, it goes down to the Winnipeg 32 and a 1st and 10 for the Argos. Showing no signs of let up here, still hanging on to the lead. They fell behind 7-0. In their first 2 possessions, they had touchdowns, and they have not relinquished that lead since. Winnipeg 32 complete. Brissett close to a 100-yard game last week against Hamilton, and another catch in this one here in Winnipeg, his 4th. Through 3 quarters, the Argos are still leading the Bombers. 15 minutes to play here at IG Field. We'll be back. Games where the stats don't match up with the scoreboard, and you can see here why. Really, the story, Dwayne, so far in this game is Winnipeg's inability to cash in despite sustaining some pretty long drives.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We talked a little bit during the break about the bend but don't break. He's somehow get the sense that our old friend Rich Stubler is somewhere smiling, as that was always his mantra, is that it's so hard for teams in Canadian football to put together a string of 8, 10, 12 perfect plays in a row to keep a drive going long enough to put points on the board.
So the 4th quarter begins. There's the field judge, Brian Prupolo, CFL official for 17 years, first Métis official in CFL history from Pine Creek First Nation here in Manitoba. And a special uniform in recognition of the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. 2nd and 3 to start the 4th quarter to Winnipeg 25 for the Argos. Pressing again. Deep look to the end zone and too far for the intended receiver, DeMonte Coxie. Good coverage there from Winston Rose and Dietrich Nichols as well.
Yeah, the middleman of this threesome is the intended receiver, DeMonte Coxie. See a little double move here. They had the hooks all the way across the board, all 6 receivers, with Coxie having the hook and go there, but timing was just a little bit off between he and Dukes.
So they drove down to the 25, but the field goal unit, Boris Beatty, to come on now. He is 1 for 1. Just a 19-yarder before, and this one will be put down by David Ungerer just outside the 30 for Beatty. And he's having a great year in terms of accuracy as well. Only 2 misses on the season coming into this night.
Doing such a great job.
And we talked about Robbie Smith before, and all these changes the Argos have made, resting players, injuries, everything else. Here's what he had to say about that next man up mentality.
I mean, when you think of situations like this, like what makes successful teams successful is the fact that on any given day an injury could happen and somebody could step in that role and perform just as well. Just like one person rowing can't stop a ship, right? Like whatever happens or whatever that's happening at the time, like we need to have systems, and coaches are good at doing their jobs to help people put them in positions to be successful. So anything that happens, I think, with all the guys that we have resting and we have sitting today, I think that the people that we have stepping up will fill in those shoes just as good.
And while we were hearing him, Quantez Stiggers had the interception of the Zach Collaros pass.
Yeah, perfect timing from Robbie Smith, talking about people stepping up, as Stiggers has moved from the field side to play that traditionally seen as tougher boundary side corner spot. Seeing a lot of Kenny Lawler, Dalton Schoen over there. Stiggers in place of Jamal Peters comes up with a big play turnover for the Toronto Argonauts.
And they had just had the field goal to open up a 5-point lead again, and now they have the ball at their own 52 after the second turnover committed by the Bombers on the night. Dukes hands off, and Deontay McMahon has the ball in his hands, and he gets a good carry on first down to about the 52 of Winnipeg. Second down coming up. A.J. Ouellette started this game at running back, coming off a week of rest against Hamilton. He had a big carry, 26 yards, and a 28-yarder for a touchdown, and there he is, looks fine. We're seeing a lot of McMahon in this game.
Yeah, particularly in the second half. Ouellette did play most of the opening 30 minutes of the ballgame.
McMahon spins around. Ball comes out. Nichols has it. McMahon was trying so hard to get a little bit more, and it cost him the football. A timely turnover that the Bombers get this time. Stripping the ball of Deontay McMahon. Dietrich Nichols with it. Winnipeg football at midfield. An exchange of turnovers. First the pick by Stiggers, and then the fumble by McMahon. Bomber football in the Argo zone across midfield. Brady Oliveira. What a game he's having. He adds to his total already. Had gone over 100 yards for the night as he picks up a first down on the ground inside the Argo 40.
And Oliveira has been a big part of this Blue Bomber offense that's chewed up so much time on the clock here tonight. They've been terrific in the ground and pound.
They spotted back at the 40. He has 122 in the ground. You heard him talk to John Liu at halftime that wasn't happy at all. They're trailing in this game. He had a fumble in the first half. Oh, and Jones right in Collaros' face. He got it away, and he nearly completed it to Schoen, but Collaros is still down. Getting some help now from Oliveira and Jamarcus Hardrick to get up, but Jonathan Jones blitzing, coming right in his face as he got rid of the ball.
Yeah, watch for number 30, Jones, coming from second level. Left side of your screen. Times up the blitz, hits that gap. You can see Oliveira trying to redirect to get back to him, but couldn't. He just kind of runs through Zach Collaros on that one.
Collaros' second half coming into this drive, 4 for 8 for 40 yards and the one pick. Second down and 10. More pressure. He gets away. Costigan chasing him, and he gets rid of the ball. Dembski's in the area. He was already going down, so after that turnover, the Argos have really been bringing the heat, and it's a 3rd and 10 now coming up for Winnipeg.
Yeah, knowing, I think that they had Zach Collaros rocked a little bit. You're going to see Costigan coming off the end here, providing the pursuit. Hendricks had the first shot. Costigan in chase. Robbie Smith gets a piece of the quarterback. Tough series there for Zach.
So Castillo on again, this time 48 yards away. Made his last one. This to get it back to 2. Trading field goals. Puts it through right down the middle. He's a great kicker. More than that, John Lou will have that story coming up here at IG Field. Vocation that Sergio Castillo's interested in. With more, let's go to John.
Yeah, focus as in exposure, as in camera work, Rod. And Sergio Castillo took up photography last December, and he has been photographing sporting events. Winnipeg Gold Eyes this summer, Manitoba Open, but he got a real challenge on Wednesday night at the Winnipeg Jets Calgary Flames preseason game, because he was down in the camera bay taking snaps, trying to keep up with the pace of an NHL hockey game. Castillo said that was an awful lot of fun. It was something that was arranged for him by Jets GM Kevin Cheveldayoff, who's friends with Castillo's agent Gil Scott. So another talent in the toolbox of kicker Sergio Castillo, guys.
Great story. Saw him had his picture taken with former colleague Sarah Oleski. And a change at quarterback with Brian Scott, the third stringer, coming in now for Cameron Dukes, who was 14 of 17 for 188 and a touchdown. Scott from Occidental in Los Angeles. They want to get him some playing time.
Yeah, this was part of the plan, was to get Brian Scott into this game as well. Same idea as getting Cameron Dukes some time. They want to have these guys prepared if they need them, but they also need to evaluate them to know if they can be the guys should anything happen to Chad Kelly.
Back to pass again. Escaping the rush for now. Throwing back to his left and out of bounds. Tommy Neal was there. But that's it for Brian Scott, and a 2-and-out coming in relief of Cameron Dukes. Scott, who played in the USFL last year, and had also spent some time with the BC Lions and Edmonton Elks practice rosters.
Can you name any other CFL quarterbacks from Occidental?
I cannot, but I bet you can tell me.
I probably could. Justin Goltz.
Justin Goltz, who played here
in Winnipeg. Yeah. And you see it, I got to keep my pow-pow straight. Tyler Pow-Pow, I believe, was an Occidental grad as well.
Well, there you go. Occidental, Lindsey Wilson, learning something about colleges you don't often hear about when it comes to pumping out pro football players. On the punt, Jamal Parker cuts it back inside. Jack Cassar trips him up, and Robbie Smith finishes it off as he gets up across the Bomber 30. Winnipeg trailing by 2, 21-19. John was talking about Sergio Castillo last week here in Winnipeg. Maya Turner making U Sports history, first female to play and score in a U Sports football game, and in overtime with a winning field goal against Regina, and the celebration afterwards with her Manitoba Bison teammates. What a great story that was for Maya Turner, Brian Doby's Manitoba Bison's program, and making some history there last week. From the 31, Oliveira, some hard hitting inside. Jordan Williams there in on the tackle.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic moment for not just the Manitoba Bisons, but for the sport of football, right? The advancement of the game and inclusivity of it.
And who was the holder on that historic field goal?
Yeah, if you were looking closely, Michael O'Shea Jr., son of the Blue Bombers head coach, is the holder on the play. Interesting chat between he and his dad about that situation.
Caleros deep right, coverage there, nearly picked off again. A flag comes down. It was Jamie Harry on Lawler, and coming across was the safety Royce Metchie to knock it away. But as said, a flag is down.
Offside, Toronto. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's going to make it first down for Winnipeg.
They needed the 5 for the first down. They get it by penalty, and negating a good defensive play for the Argos again in the secondary, and that time Royce Metchie.
Nice range demonstrated there by Royce Metchie, getting from the middle of the field out to the sideline in a hurry to help out his corner.
The Argos secondary, by and large, has made some great plays tonight, and they've had to juggle things, of course, with all of the changes. That's complete. Nick Dembski And gets it over the Bomber 50. Well, we just showed you Maya Turner. This is what Nick Dembski had to say about that moment and the significance of it.
It was a huge win, but to do it in that type of fashion, I mean, obviously is something huge within itself. But then for Maya to do that for her team, I mean, it's amazing. It opens doors for females to play this sport and open doors for put females in big opportunities in sports as well to have those clutch moments as well. So I've said it once, but hats off to Maya Turner for that for sure.
Nice from Dembski. Dakota Prukop, first down and more on that short yardage play. Dembski, who, as you pointed out, played high school here, but also played for the Manitoba Bisons.
Yeah, exactly. So doubly happy for him, happy for Maya, happy for his Bisons. It all worked out for Nick. And just on a side note, as we mentioned, Dembski and Oliveira from Oak Park High School. Yeah, there's another pretty well-known football grad from that school too.
Just amazing that kind of talent from one high school program. And yeah, Brady Oliveira, just a hit here, but he learned a lot from Andrew Harris. Make no mistake. Studied under him until Harris left as a free agent to the Argos. It's Oliveira's time to shine, but he has the ball again, and he keeps driving those legs. The kind of stuff that we saw for many years from Andrew Harris as a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Just another physical run, constantly moving forward. He may get slowed down a little bit as he goes through traffic, but Brady just keeps driving.
And still doesn't look happy. His team still trails by 2. Prukop on again. Getting some work on this drive as he gets more for his money there. Not just a first down, a few extra yards and down to the 40. The veteran out of Oregon. The Bombers come into this game at 10-4 after their loss to Hamilton, now tied with the BC Lions for first place in the West. The Lions later tonight, part 2 of our doubleheader from BC Place, will host the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So depending on how this plays out, the Lions may actually have an opportunity to overtake first place with a win over Saskatchewan, but they're within 2, Winnipeg is, and they're driving again and hoping to take the lead on this possession as they get closer to, at the very least, field goal range as they're grinding it out with Oliveira again. Ten and 4, first place, a tie in the remaining schedule here on in. Next week, the big showdown between Winnipeg and BC in Vancouver. After that, the Lions have Hamilton and Calgary in a bye. The Bombers have a bye, and then they finish with Edmonton and Calgary. That close. And of course, that game next week, the third game, they've each won 1, so that would get the tiebreaker should they finish tied in the standings. Collaros throwing and completing 2. Dalton Schoen, big first down.
Yeah, we saw Schoen with a big catch in this exact area of the field in the first quarter of this ball game as well. Right down the sideline, timing throw from Collaros. Yet another long, workmanlike drive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Feels like they have had the ball for most of the night, but they haven't found the end zone since their first possession of this game. Still 1 touchdown. Trying to change that on this drive. And they're deep. The 17, Oliveira breaking more tackles. Drives that down to about the 10. Firing up the fans here at IG Field.
Yeah, he and his offensive line have just been fantastic tonight for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Big fellas up front, moving that line of scrimmage. Oliveira just doing his thing, getting downhill.
At the Toronto 10 and a 2nd and 3. Back to Oliveira. And a There's the three and a couple more. First and goal. Winnipeg at the Argo 5 coming up.
The Argos calling a much-needed timeout, it appears.
That defense has been on the field a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, they're gassed.
Timeout's been called by Toronto. The game clock should read 4 minutes, 12 seconds. 4 minutes, 12 seconds, timeout, Toronto.
We talked about this in the first half of the ball game, as Winnipeg has dominated the time of possession in every quarter, right from the start of this ball game. And it's sort of playing the long game, so to speak, recognizing that you may not see real dividends until late in the game, but here we are in the fourth quarter, and the Argos D appears to be having a tough time finding their legs.
Hand it to the Argos, though. They have made this night interesting. A lot more interesting than many, I'm sure, would have guessed. They still lead 21-19. They've led since the first quarter when they went up 14-7. Oliveira this drive, 5 carries for 31 yards. First and goal. Oliveira. 3-2. Trying to get to the one, and they stiffen up. Barlow in there. And a wall of double blue to keep him out of the end zone. Second and goal coming up.
And it has felt at times on this drive, particularly as the Bombers have gotten in close, that under normal circumstances at some point in here they might have called a passing play to try and throw the ball into the end zone, but they honestly seem pretty content to make Toronto play the physical run game.
Doing a lot of that in this possession. Here we go again. Dakota Prukop! Touchdown, Winnipeg! He got 2 touchdowns in the Grey Cup against Toronto, his old team, last November. Prukop helps the Bombers find the end zone for the second time tonight, his 6th rushing TD.
Yeah, you'll see he hits a slowdown initially, but just bounces it outside. Nobody's home. Prukop into the end zone.
Broke in with the Argos. Later went to Edmonton and has found a home here in Winnipeg. And so, for the first time since early in the first quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead 12 plays, 79 yards, and that's in over 6 minutes and 40 seconds. And they're going for 2. Kenny Lawler just a bit high. So they still lead by 4. They were trying to stretch that to 6. Another look. Prukop bounces off, heads on in. Winnipeg's in front. Fourth quarter at IG Field. The BC Lions, Jake Dolegala, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Riders entrenched in 3rd in the division. The Lions at 10-4. And the Bombers, if the Bombers can hang on and win, BC wants to keep pace and a chance for first place. But I'm sure they're watching before that one gets started and what the Bombers can do here. Up by 4 now, finally leading again. The Argos have certainly been game, staying in this one most of the way. 3:12 on the clock. Still a 1-score game. Javon Leake. Flags out. And Jake Kelly taking him down. And Brian Scott, the 3rd-string quarterback, is coming on again. He had the last set of downs at 2 and out, relieving Cameron Dukes, who made a pretty good appearance in his first ever CFL start. 14-17 for 188 and a touchdown, but Ryan Dinwiddie intent on getting his quarterbacks, all of them, some reps.
Illegal block, they're in the return. Toronto number 40. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be first down.
Yeah, and you look for the Toronto Argonauts. I don't know if they kind of etched their plan in stone in terms of how and when they wanted to use their quarterbacks in this ball game. That, you know, it may be business as usual with Chad Kelly and in most of their games, but that he was going to rest for probably 2 of their last 6, this being one of them. But knowing that Kelly not playing tonight, they just definitely wanted to see both of these guys.
From the 13. And a little collision there with Coxie and Parker in on the coverage, and it's incomplete. 2:43 on the clock, and the 3-minute warning officially is given. Bombers have been tested tonight by these Argos, but they do lead this season that he has not started. He got hurt in Calgary, but did start that game. And in it is Brian Scott, and that one falls just shy of David Ungerer. What would have been a first down. So a 3rd down is coming up. Punting unit is coming on for the Argos. 4-point difference, 2.5 minutes to go here in Winnipeg.
Big punt and cover here for Boris Beattie and the Argonauts special teams group.
Shorter punt from the end zone. Flag is out. Parker on the return. Drives it down near the Toronto 41. 2:22 to go.
Yeah, presumably no yards, which is the last thing that the Argos needed on this one, putting the Bombers in immediate field goal range.
No yards. Toronto, number 8. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's going to be first down for Winnipeg.
Tack on the no yards. Once again, BC plays just about to kick off there in Vancouver. The Rough Riders and the Lions meeting again. They've split that season series. TSN 3 has that game. You want to see the start of the Lions and the Rough Riders. BC coming in tied with Winnipeg for first at 10-4, as the Bombers are going to be closing in on their 11th victory, as the Argos now get close to just their 2nd loss of the season, coming in at 12-1. Back in the hands of Oliveira. Boy, he's been grinding it out, especially now in the second half, and what a monster night for him, coming into that carry with 156 yards on the ground, with well over 100 for the night and well over 1,200 for the season, leading the way in the CFL. 161 now he's up to on 22 carries.
Yeah, not their most dynamic offensive performance per se in terms of airing the ball out or lighting up the scoreboard, but the Bombers' ability to run that football, to impose their will physically at the line of scrimmage, has been impressive tonight.
On 2nd and 5, no, not that time. Argos getting stingy, forcing a 3rd down coming up. 1:48 on the clock.
Timeout, Toronto.
Castillo coming on, and what could make it a full touchdown lead of 7 points if he gets this one.
Certainly valuable attempt here, and again, the maybe not Boris Beattie's best punt of the night, and a no yards call set Winnipeg up pretty well on this possession.
Castillo's 4 for 5, longest of 49. This one 41 yards away for the photographer, and his focus drifting a bit right, but still comfortable through. Takes a nice picture, kicks a nice football. 3 more on the board, and it is a full 7-point lead now for Winnipeg with 1:45 to go, and Cameron Dukes is indeed coming back on.
Yeah, so Scott got a couple of series there. Dukes gets a chance to go out and try and win, or at least tie for the time being, the game that he started.
And if Ryan Dinwiddie wants to, expose him to all sorts of situations as a young quarterback, down, it's still a 1-score game, and under 2 minutes to go, this is an opportunity in hostile territory here in Winnipeg.
This is a great teaching opportunity for Ryan Dinwiddie, learning opportunity for Cameron Dukes. in terms of clock management in the Canadian Football League.
And the Bombers will kick off from the 30 after that field goal. Andrew Harris, some encouraging words, I'm sure, for Dukes in his first CFL start. Andrew Harris, his final appearance in Winnipeg as a player, and unfortunately could not play in the game. He's retiring at the end of this season and hoping to go out with another Grey Cup ring. He's got 3 in a row, 2 with Winnipeg and 1 with the Argos last year against his old team. Argo football, Javon Lee, and gets it up across the 30, but the 32 now. So here comes Dukes. See what he can do in the final 140 of this game.
There you see his pretty impressive numbers for start number 1 for Cameron Dukes.
And it just doesn't seem like they had the ball that often in this game or for very much time.
You know, I mean, first week in his career where he's taken the number 1 reps all week. Remember the Calgary game? He came in when Kelly got hurt. So kind of thrown into the fire with limited reps.
Dealing with a loud crowd now as he looks deep. Down the left, one-on-one, and knocked away Parker there on Coxie. And Parker was with him stride for stride, getting in this game on the corner after the injury to Demario Houston.
Yeah, and we know Coxie in the contested catches has had a lot of success for the Argos this season, but Jamal Parker maintaining great position on the play. Then he came into the game when Demario Houston got hurt.
And a flag has come out. The official was looking at the Argo bench before the flag was thrown.
We have a bench penalty against Toronto, number 20, objective conduct, misconduct. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be second down.
From the bench, Tavares McFadden draws that flag, pushing Toronto back further.
The challenge grows for Cameron Dukes, 2nd and 20.
From the 22 to the right. It's complete to Tommy Neal. And out of bounds he goes, not nearly enough. 3rd down is coming up.
Yeah, the Argos, of course, playing 3-down football at this point, under a minute and a half to go, trailing by that touchdown.
Got back to the original line of scrimmage, so a 3rd and 10 coming up. A little bit short for David Unger, but could have had it. And in where he was standing was still shy of a 1st down, but a turnover on downs as the Bombers take over with 1:19 to go.
Yeah, it looked like they might have had a shot. Unger had a little bit of space in front of him, but
just deflected by Brian Cole, it appears.
Yeah. Yeah, Cole doing just enough to impact that throw. A little wobble on it, making it tough for Unger, who loses it off his fingertips.
So back to the sideline for Cameron Dukes. Still a memorable night for him under the circumstances coming into the week and getting this start, and some valuable experience. Whether or not the Argos will need to draw on that experience going forward. And I'm sure he'll get more playing time too. Ryan Dinwiddie had said that Chad Kelly will likely sit for 2 of the remaining games. After this, they have 4 to go. And includes a back-to-back against Ottawa at the end of the season. Big one against Edmonton next week, celebrating their 150th anniversary.
Looking forward to that one.
Absolutely. And all the big names from Argonaut football past there to help out with the celebration. As we get down to under a minute, and the Argos are about to suffer their second loss of the season. Winnipeg in charge now. Thanks in large part to the running of number 20. Just takes it inside again. And just keeps racking up those yards, I should say, and maybe a little bit happier now.
Yeah, just a tremendous night for Brady Oliveira. A model of consistency running the football this season.
Well, for this moment, it puts the Bombers in the driver's seat in the West, all as temporary as that could be, because BC is just underway or just playing Saskatchewan now, and if the Lions win that game, then they go back into a tie at 11-4, meeting next week in the game that will decide the season series. Castillo again. Castillo. Busy couple of days on the field tonight. Watching the Jets and taking pictures before earlier this week. And Collaros certainly racked up the numbers. The offense, it just doesn't compare. Winnipeg's had the ball so much more. 22 of 33 for 258 yards passing, but 169 yards on the ground for Brady Oliveira. And I remember about a year ago, Dwayne, when Winnipeg clinched with 4 weeks to go, and Zach Collaros sat in BC, and Drew Brown got the start to get him some reps.
Yeah, and it's a balancing act, and you know, I don't envy the coaches having to make the decisions. You know, there are people who are going to agree, people who are going to disagree. Quite frankly, I think Ryan Dinwiddie made the right decision in terms of his deployment of quarterbacks this week.
Well, the thing is, if Kelly played and suffered a season-ending injury, that, as Dinwiddie said when we talked to him, and he said this facetiously, I'm an idiot if I don't play him, and I'm an idiot if I do. So he's kind of a no-win scenario. Of course, he's just joking in that case. He doubled down on it, that it was the right move for him, and it gave that young man, Cameron Duke, some experience.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Dinwiddie doesn't get paid for, you know, the excitement of CFL fans. He gets paid to help the Toronto Argonauts be successful, and a big part of them being successful involves a healthy Chad Kelly.
So they rest Kelly, they give Duke some experience, and he puts Lindsey Wilson College on the map.
Yes, sir.
Here in Canada. The Kentucky native still in there. Scoots away from the pressure, but nowhere to go as he throws that one down, incomplete. 31-21 now, Winnipeg, but not as easy as it looked like it might be for the Bombers after their first possession when they marched down the field. Scored the touchdown. Oliveira got that. But closing in now on win number 11 against 4 losses. And they will be 33-3 in their last 36 home games. Impressive. They lost once this year at home. BC beat them. And then they got revenge a few weeks later. Here's a deep ball. Dukes, little short, and oh, it looked like it was picked by Winston Rose. Had it and let go of it. And 12 seconds now on the clock until this one is done.
DeMonte Coxey turns DB at the end of this play. Coming back to bat that one away from Winston Rose. One more shot here for Dukes and the Argos.
Brady Oliveira, 25 carries, 169 yards, and a receiving touchdown. And that's Dan Adeboboye with a touch in this game tonight. Gets a first down. Probably got one play to go in this one.
And Winnipeg's only concern, they'll let the short stuff happen, but obviously not wanting to give up a cheap one over their heads at the end of the game.
Tommy Neal. Zeros on the clock. Let the record show that the one and only meeting between the Bombers and Argos in 2023 was won by Winnipeg. But they could meet again, and if they do, the stakes would be so much higher.